Hey everyone. Today we're diving into a fascinating topic that blends history, science, and a bit of mystery: Chernobyl monsters. When we think about Chernobyl, most of us picture the nuclear disaster of 1986 and the haunting images of abandoned towns. But there's so much more to this story. The disaster has sparked a wave of myths and legends about strange creatures and mutated wildlife. So let's explore these eerie tales and see what's real, what's exaggerated, and what lessons we can learn from this environmental enigma. All right, let's set the stage a bit. On April 26, 1986, Chernobyl's Reactor 4 exploded in what is considered one of the worst nuclear disasters in history. The explosion released a massive amount of radioactive material into the atmosphere, causing panic and evacuating nearby towns, notably Pripyat, which was home to about 50,000 people. The immediate effects were tragic, including acute radiation sickness and long-term health issues for many who stayed behind or returned too soon. Over the years, this disaster transformed the surrounding area into a ghost town, giving it an eerie and desolate vibe. But wait, this isn't just the end of the story. Fast forward a few decades, and we find that nature slowly started reclaiming its territory. How? Well, that's where things get interesting as we explore the legends of monsters emerging from the radiation blasted landscape. So, where do these Chernobyl monster tales even come from? Part of it is rooted in the folklore and urban legends that arise following disasters. It's fascinating how our imaginations can go wild, especially when faced with something as terrifying as a nuclear meltdown. People started sharing stories of strange creatures lurking in the abandoned buildings and mutated animals wandering the exclusion zone. It's almost like a horror movie script. Plus, the psychological impact of witnessing such a catastrophe can lead to myths. Our minds create monsters where there may be none. But here's the kicker: some of these stories might have elements of truth. There have been documented cases of wildlife in the area presenting unusual behaviors or characteristics, thanks to the radiation. It becomes hard to separate fact from fiction, doesn't it? Now, let's talk about what the exclusion zone looks like today. Believe it or not, nature has started to bounce back. Since the disaster, animals have returned in droves, and the area has turned into a unique wildlife haven. You would be amazed to find out how thriving the ecosystems have become despite the radiation. It's like nature's own comeback story. Species like wolves, deer, and even rare birds are now roaming through the empty streets of Pripyat. However, while some animals are thriving, there is evidence of adaptation and even mutation among some species. For instance, scientists have noted changes in the size and shape of certain animals over the years. It's a bit of a mixed bag. While some creatures seem to be adapting well, others may show signs of struggle. Speaking of adaptation, let's get into some of the specific monsters people claim to have seen. One of the most notable stories is about the Chernobyl dogs. Dogs that were abandoned during the evacuation and have formed packs, surviving against all odds. These dogs have become a symbol of resilience in a post-apocalyptic landscape. Then there's the tale of the blackbird, sometimes referred to as a griffin, which is said to have been spotted soaring above Chernobyl, stirring up fear among locals. People describe its eerie cries as warning signs, adding more intrigue to the myth. While these stories may sound fantastical, they highlight how people are trying to make sense of a haunting environment. Whether these creatures exist as described or are just figments of our imagination, they reflect our need to find stories in the chaos of the unknown. Now, let's take a step back and look at this through a scientific lens. Experts have been studying radiation and its effects on living organisms for years. While there are real instances of mutations among animals in Chernobyl, the truth is that not all mutations lead to monstrous or threatening creatures. Most changes tend to be subtle and hard to notice. Scientists emphasize the importance of separating the myths from reality, reminding us that many wildlife species show resilience in the face of adversity. It's essential to appreciate the complex balance of nature here while keeping an open mind about these stories. In wrapping up our chat today, it's clear that the myths of Chernobyl monsters reveal more about us than about the actual wildlife. They symbolize our fascination with disaster and the resilience of nature. As we uncover these tales, Let's remember the lessons we can learn from such events. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you enjoyed this exploration into Chernobyl's story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more. Got any thoughts on what we should cover next? Drop them in the comments. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.